Today, I'm playing the entire career of Endrick to try and turn him into the greatest Brazilian of all time. At just 18 years old, he's already at a club like Real Madrid. However, after being benched, Endrick was sent out on loan to Olympique Lyonnais. And ever since he's arrived in France, he's been incredible, already scoring a hat-trick. But oh no, Endrick is back in Brazil at 15 years old at just a 63 overall. But don't you worry, I am now Bobby Charlton's agent, and I'm taking him all the way to the very top by winning multiple Ballon d'Ors and Brazil a World Cup to go ahead and make Endrick the Brazilian GOAT. So yes, like I mentioned, Endrick is back to being 15 years old, and he absolutely sucks, man. Just take a look at his stats, man. 62 shooting, 49 passing, 56 physical. He's not winning the Ballon d'Or with those stats. And because he sucks, it means he will not get any game time, especially over the likes of Paulinho, who used to play for Leverkusen, and Victor Roque, a former Barcelona product. So to kickstart his journey, we're going to be sending him out on loan. But like I mentioned, I'm Endrick's agent, and I bring him to my office and say, Endrick, I'm very excited to make you the Brazilian GOAT. Are you ready to go out on loan? Endrick then responds, of course I am. I'm glad that you're part of this journey. Find me some great offers. And already, Endrick has gotten his first offer, and it's from Defensa y Justicia in the Argentinian league. I wonder if he'd be the best striker in that team. And we're gonna find out very soon, as that's the only offer he's gotten. As for the next 2 seasons, he'll go out on loan here in Argentina. And as Endrick has arrived in Argentina, he's actually gonna be starting in a 2-striker formation, as the backup is only a 61 overall. But of course, if we want him to improve, we need to increase that shooting. We're gonna give him the poacher development plan. And as per usual, Endrick is gonna have a mentor, and it's the very own R9, who I think is the Brazilian GOAT. So R9 goes ahead and has a conversation with Endrick and says, Bobby, I'm very glad that I'm gonna be able to guide you to become the Brazilian GOAT. Focus on just scoring 5 goals this season. Endrick says, of course, I will try my best. Thank you for guiding me. I will not let you down. So it seems like in Endrick's first season is very simple. Just get 5 goals. To be fair, he's a very low overall. But not only do I want Endrick to win the World Cup with Brazil, I did mention multiple Ballon d'Ors. I need him to win 3, because R9 has the most Ballon d'Ors with 2. He also has to do something R9 never did, and is win a Champions League, but he needs to win 3 in 3 different clubs. And in order to become the Brazilian GOAT, he needs to become one of the world's best strikers of all time. He needs at least 5 league golden boots. And it's a +4 for Endrick in his first season, now at a 67 overall. That is a brilliant first season. But before we move on, Endrick comes into my office and says, Boss, I feel great this season. I believe I could become the Brazilian GOAT, and one day I want to play for Real Madrid. I then respond to Endrick, I will do everything in my power to not only help you become the Brazilian GOAT, but become a Real Madrid legend. But 6 goals and 1 assist in his first ever season. He really does have the potential to be special, man. However, when it comes to the Argentinian league, they do have 2 different tournaments, as in the first one, he finished in 8th place, as they got knocked out in the round of 16. And in the second tournament, they finished in a lowly 10th place, which means that they're not qualified for the knockouts. And they were actually in the Sudamericana, which is the Europa League of South America, where they got grouped in 3rd place. And unfortunately, Endrick did not win the golden boot of the first tournament, neither winning the second one. And now in season 2, you can see that Endrick has mastered the poacher role, getting to a poacher plus. So of course, this season, I'm changing from poacher to advance forward in his development plan. So of course, I have to go ahead and change the roles in this formation to a poacher plus to maximize Endrick's goal scoring. And something very interesting, you can see that Endrick is the best penalty taker in the entire squad. So now he's taking pens. He might win his first golden boot. And now that he's the penalty taker, R9 brings him into his office. Bobby, now that you are the penalty taker, you must have a super season and get 10 goals here at Defensa. Endrick then responds, yes sir, I will do my best, because maybe I could join the World Cup squad at the end of the season. And yes boys, Endrick is right. His overall may be super low, but if he does brilliant, he might be going to the 2026 World Cup. However, not only do I want him to score goals, but I want him to win his first trophy here. So I walk into the manager's office and says, look, Endrick's about to have his breakout season. You need to bring in an amazing goalkeeper to help win trophies. The manager then responds, that is a brilliant idea. I will spend all of our money on a brand new keeper. And what a goalkeeper the manager has brought in. Argentinian La Liga legend Rulli is now joining Defensa. And now that Rulli has joined the starting 11, surely Endrick can win his first trophy. And 16 goals and 3 assists, Endrick has completed his goal and has even reached a 71 overall, which means he gains his first playstyle in quick step. And playstyles are very important, because if we get to a World Cup final with Brazil, we will play those games, and the more playstyles we have, the higher chance we win those trophies. But they did improve this season in 5th place, but unfortunately got knocked out in the quarters on pens. And in the second tournament, they finished in 5th once again, but this time got knocked knocked out in the round of 16. And unfortunately, he misses out on the Apertura Golden Boots, as well as the Clausura. But now at 71 overall, he'll be going back to Palmeiras. The question is, will he be starting for that club? And unfortunately, he did not do enough to go to the World Cup. And now at a 72 in the brand new season, he is back at Palmeiras sitting on the bench. But he is the third option as he is behind Lopez and Roque, as Paulinho has moved down to a cam. So R9 has a conversation with Endrick and says, it looks like you're gonna be the backup here at Palmeiras. Just do your very best every appearance you get, and I promise you, you'll be starting next season. Endrick then responds, yes, I agree with you. My goal before I leave Palmeiras is to win the Libertadores, to win something for my boyhood club. So as Endrick wants to win the Libertadores, which is the UC of South America, we're gonna go ahead and continue working on his finishing by giving him the poacher role again. I walk into the manager's office at Real Madrid in Mikel Arteta, and I tell him, look, Endrick's dream is to win a Champions League with Real Madrid. Do you think maybe if he wins the Libertadores, you would sign him? Arteta says, yes, Endrick is talented, but no, he is not near the level. He probably won't be for the next couple years. He has to work really hard if he ever wants to become a Galactico. So sadly, going from Palmeiras to Real Madrid like in real life is not going to happen. And yes, Endrick wins his first trophy in the league title here in Brazil, and sadly they weren't in the Recopa final. But boys, Endrick is now in the Libertadores final against Botafogo. And the question is, can he go ahead and achieve one of his boyhood dreams and win this game? And yes, he has! He wins the Copa Libertadores, which means now he can move on to his next club. And 11 goals and 1 assist is a pretty good season for Endrick, as he has grown a +3 to a 75 overall, unlocking his next playstyle, and that is first touch. But because he also has 5-star skill moves, he has gained 2 more playstyles in Trickster and Game Changer. And unfortunately, he misses out on the Brazilian Golden Boots, as there's too much talent in this league. If you guys have enjoyed this video so far, make sure you subscribe and let me know down below what Wonder Kid I should take over next. And in the very next season, Endrick walks into my office and says, look boss, I achieved my boyhood dream of winning the Libertadores. Please transfer list me and find me an incredible club. I then respond, of course, you're ready to move on, maybe to Europe. Let's get you your next move. So at a 75 overall and 18 years old, Endrick has been transfer listed. Let's see who his next club is. And oh my days, Endrick's first offer is from Ajax. This is low-key the best offer he could have gotten. But it's not his only offer, as he has also gotten one from Olympique Lyonnais, where he's currently shining in real life. But you know what, boys? Let's go ahead and have a look if he would be in the starting 11 at Olympique Lyonnais. And at Olympique Lyonnais, they do have a couple strikers, and Beto are both high overall, but not by too much. While at Ajax, they do have only Chupa Akpom and Kasper Dolberg, but they're both over the age of 30. Which offer is the best one, man? And Endrick has made his decision, and he has chosen to join Ajax instead of Olympique Lyonnais. I'm sure it's because of the age of the 2 strikers in front of him. He backs himself to become the starter. And as Endrick is now in Ajax, just remember that we are currently in January because the Brazilian league is super weird. And it seems like Endrick's gonna be in the starting 11 for the second half of season number 3. And once again, he's the best penalty taker already. He might have the best half season the world will ever see. And of course, to continue working on his craft, I want to go ahead and give him the advanced forward role, not only for his finishing, but his sprint speed and his strength. And Endrick adds 10 goals and 1 assist in the second half of season 3, making 23 appearances. It seems like he might be the starter next year. He's also grown a +2 to a 77 overall. I wonder if he won any trophies. And no, sadly, Ajax just missed out on the Eredivisie title, and they also didn't win the Orange Beker. And in the Champions League, they finished in 19th place, where they actually beat Marseille in the playoffs, beat Liverpool in the round of 16, but lost in the quarterfinals to Real Madrid, the club Endrick wants to play for. And of course, Endrick stood no chance of winning the Golden Boot, but this might be his next season. But I do have good news, because in this video, I have the Copa America, and this is Brazil's group. Shout out Beta 10, his mod is in the link of the description and the comments. But sadly, Endrick did not make the starting 11 or the bench or even the squad, as Victor Roque, his former teammate at 87, is going to be a while till he shows up in the Brazil squad. But we are now in season number 4, and I want Endrick to win the Eredivisie, but to be honest, I think this team is ready now that Endrick is leading the line. So R9 has a conversation with Endrick and says, if you want to go ahead and eventually play for the national team, because you saw how good the Brazilian strikers are, you need to kick things off now by winning the Eredivisie, but also your first Golden Boot. Endrick says that's going to be difficult, but I must push myself to the limits because there's a bunch of Brazilian strikers that are better than me right now. And yes, boys, that is very true, as this is what Endrick's stats are looking like. Not bad for an 18-year-old. I'm just gonna go ahead and continue swapping between poacher and advanced forward until he reaches a very high overall. Surprisingly, the Inter manager has come into my office, and it's Cesc Fabregas. And he says, look, I have just joined Inter Milan, and my dream is to go ahead and make Inter Milan the world's best team once again. And we want the second coming of R9 one day, and that is Endrick. Do you think he'd be interested? I then respond, I'm not sure, to be honest. I appreciate the offer, but Endrick's dream club is Real Madrid, so I'm not sure if he'd ever want to go to Inter. But hey, boys, at least we know Endrick is getting some attention right now. And 33 goals and 4 assists is his best ever season. Surely this has to be his first golden boot. And not only that, it's a +5 for Endrick now at an 82 as he gains his next place now, which is rapid. But boys, how did this happen? They did not win the league title. They weren't even close. Third place. This is supposed to be Ajax's league. But hey, at least he won a trophy here at Ajax so far. 2-1 against Utrecht. And this year, they were in the Europa League where they finished in 10th. But they beat CFR in the playoffs. In the round of 16, they lost to Sevilla. Low-key, this Ajax side is pretty bad. As Endrick wins his first golden boot here in the Netherlands, tying with Sven Mijnas. So you know what? We'll take his first ever golden boot. And boys, kicking off season number 4, Endrick has gotten a huge offer, and it's from Premier League Tottenham. Now at an 82 overall, he might be able to be a bench player there. But is it the right move to move to a big club at just 19? However, Tottenham weren't the only big club, as RB Leipzig has come in as well. The perfect place for a youngster to go to. And 2 final offers have also come in. He's not even transfer listed, man. It's Arsenal Football Club and Chelsea Football Club. Even though Real Madrid are not interested, the biggest clubs in world football already are. So I welcome Endrick to my office and ask him, look, Endrick, you've gotten some amazing offers. Arsenal, Chelsea, Spurs, and Leipzig. Would you like to leave already? Endrick then responds, as appealing as it is, I would love to play for one of these clubs one day. I feel I have unfinished business here at Ajax and I would like to stay. So it seems like Endrick wants me to reject every club that has come in for him. I hope that isn't a mistake. And when Endrick says unfinished business, we know what he's talking about, and that is the league title. But take a look at this team, man. Look at the attack. If he doesn't win it this season, it's not his fault, man. So let's go ahead and give him another development plan. 88 shooting already. So you know what? Let's work on his passing and dribbling with the false 9 role. R9 then has a conversation with Endrick. R9 says, at the end of next season, you have the next World Cup, and I believe if you make the right moves and play correctly, you will be caught up. Make sure you win the Eredivisie this year. Endrick says, yes, that is my goal. That's why I stayed, because I know with an Eredivisie title win, maybe even Madrid come calling already. And it's another 33 goal season with 7 assists as well, and also receiving a +3 to an 85 overall, gaining his next playstyle in low-driven silver. How have they not won the Eredivisie again by 6 points? I need to convince Endrick to get out of here. And sadly, they failed to win the Orange Becker, and they were actually in the Club World Cup, where they beat Atletico in the round of 16, but got knocked out by Liverpool in the quarters. And when it comes to the Europa League, this time they finished in 2nd place. In the round of 16, they beat Shakhtar Donetsk. In the quarterfinals, they beat Villarreal. But in the semis, they lost to Juve. Come on, man. And sadly, Endrick doesn't win a second golden boot. Maybe his time here at Ajax has come to an end. And actually, boys, R9 and I were actually both wrong, as the World Cup is now Austria, Scotland, Slovakia, and Brazil's group. As sadly, Endrick is not a starter, but he has been caught up. He is the second choice striker. He overtook everybody, barring Victor Roque. So the question is, can he win the World Cup already? And somehow, someway, Brazil have been grouped in the World Cup. They could have passed if they just finished 3rd, man. Come on. And to kick off season 6, I bring in Endrick to the office. Look, Endrick, you're officially a World Cup player. You went to the World Cup. It was a little bit embarrassing, but I think you should leave Ajax despite not winning the Eredivisie. Endrick says, you know what? It does suck. I did want to win the Eredivisie, but you're right. I must move on if I ever want to help Brazil win the World Cup one day. So there we have it. I've convinced Endrick as we transfer list him. And Endrick has received this first offer, and it's from FC Barcelona, with his dreams of playing for Madrid. To be fair, R9 played for both clubs. And he does receive a second offer, and it is from Bayern Munich. Here he can win trophies galore, golden boots galore, and maybe one of his Champions Leagues that he needs to win. And Endrick has made his decision, and it's in Germany with Bayern Munich. Low-key, I would have taken the Barca offer, but this guy's playing smart. He knows he can win a Champions League here, and maybe one of his 3 first Ballon d'Ors. And Endrick has arrived in Bayern Munich. However, he is sitting on the bench behind Jonathan Burkhardt. So I walk into company's office and say, thank you for going ahead and giving Endrick the chance and signing him. Would you be interested in changing the formation so Endrick can play next to Burkhardt? However, company responds, no, I will not be doing that. Endrick has yet to prove himself in a top 5 league, so he either sits on the bench or gives it a go on either of the wing spots. And boys, I'm gonna be honest, I did not expect that answer. Can Endrick go ahead and playing left winger, he does get a -3, but that would basically confirm another starting 11. This is a tough decision. R9 has a conversation with Endrick and says, look, I heard what happened with Vincent Company. I think you should take up that left wing spot. I know it's not your prime position, but if you ever want to become the Brazilian goal, win Ballon d'Ors and the World Cup, you need to show the world you can do it anywhere on the pitch. Endrick says, I'm a little bit unsure. I've never played on the wing in my career, but I guess there's a first time for everything. And there we have it. Endrick is now a left winger, a -3. He went from Ballon d'Or contention to a pretty decent winger, but I'm a little bit nervous on how he's gonna play out here. We're gonna go ahead and actually give him the wide playmaker role to get his dribbling and passing up because his shooting is already insane. And I can't lie, 23 goals and 5 assists is a brilliant first season, especially as a left winger. And he recovered his overall and even went up a +1 to an 86. Who knows, maybe his future lies in the left wing. And of course, Endrick has won his first Bundesliga, but they lose in the final of the Super Cup to Leipzig. And they somehow did not win the DFB Pokal. Come on, Endrick's supposed to be stacking in trophies already. And when it comes to the Champions League, they did finish in 3rd place. But in the round of 16, he lost to Madrid again. This club keeps hunting him. Sadly, no golden boot for Endrick as Musiala takes it home. As Endrick got 14, he must do better next year. And now in season number 7, R9 speaks with Endrick. Hey man, great first season. You know Brazil needs a superstar and that has to be you. Focus on becoming the top goal scorer of the club to get ready for the Copa America at the end of the season. And I can't lie, with Musiala winning the golden boot, I think Endrick now at an 86, a season full, he is ready to outscore him. But of course, in order to secure that, I'm gonna go for the inside forward role, really maximize his shooting. How do you have 96 shooting at just 21, man? And as we're going to the end of the season, once again, Cesc Fabregas welcomes me to his office and says, wow, Endrick is a really good left winger as well. I just came to ask you again, this guy could be the second coming of R9. He could be even better than R9 and win it all over here at Inter. Please think about my offer. I go ahead and respond, thank you for the offer. Maybe it'll be his next move, but we don't know because Real Madrid might come calling. And yes, it's a 30-goal season from left wing as well as 8 assists and a +9 to an 89 overall at just the winger position. He's ready for that Copa America. But sadly, he doesn't win his second golden boot as he is very, very close to. However, he wins another Bundesliga title, but again loses the Super Cup on penalties. But he does win the DFB Pokal, that's a domestic double. And in the Champions League, they finished on a lowly 9th place. And they beat Dortmund in the playoffs. In the round of 16, they lost to Benfica. That's a terrible season. But at least he can focus on Group D in the Copa America. And yes, boys, Endrick will be in the starting 11 for this brand new formation after being grouped in the past World Cup. And I converted him back to a striker. He's now at a 91 overall, which means he gains another silver place now in Power Shot Silver, but also upgrades to Rapid Plus and replaces that one with Acrobat Silver. But surely now at a 91 overall, we can convince Vincent Company to try him up top for Bayern after this tournament. And in terms of the group stages, they did finish in 1st place, absolutely perfect. In the quarterfinals, they beat Uruguay on pens, and in the semis, they beat Canada. And in the final, they're playing the US. This has to be Endrick's Copa America. And after Brazil's worst World Cup in history, can they go ahead and win the Copa America? Yes, they do. 3-0 on penalties as Endrick scores his. So now in season number 8, I burst into Company's office and say, look, Endrick has had 2 brilliant seasons on the left, just won the Copa America with Brazil. I think it's time he plays up top, his natural position. Company says, you know what? He should be playing his natural position on under one condition, and that is that he wins the UCL this season. If not, he will be sold from the club because we need a Champions League now. So it looks like Endrick is finally going to be playing up top, but he must win the Champions League this year. If not, he'll be leaving from Bayern Munich as a failure. But I'm not scared whatsoever. I really do back Endrick as I'm going to give him the target forward role. R9 speaks with Endrick and says, congrats and thank you for winning the Copa for our national team. It's time for you to stock up on some UCLs and Ballon d'Ors before the World Cup in a couple years time. Endrick says, don't worry, I've hit my prime. I'm aiming for a Champions League this season. And boys, what a season for Endrick. 39 goals and 12 assists, his best every year. Now at a 93 overall, that Ballon d'Or has to be his. And yes, he has won his second golden boot of his career. I cannot believe it took this long. But of course, it's another Bundesliga win. He fails to win the Super Cup once again, but wins another DFB Pokal. And in the Champions League, they finished in 1st place with 1 draw and 1 loss. And it's a 5-1 win against Monaco, a quarterfinal win 6-2 versus Dortmund, and a semi-final win against Man City as he's playing PSG in his first ever UCL final. But boys, it won't be easy since Musiala left in January to City, and Desiree Doué has been cooking for PSG. And with 33 goals in all comps, Phil Foden, Ousmane, And Janchu beating PSG won't be easy. But if he can win this tonight, he can secure himself as a UCL winner and a Ballon d'Or winner. Can he do it? It's a 2-1 win as Endrick scores in the final and wins his first Champions League. And yes, boys, Endrick wins his first Ballon d'Or. Now with 2 golden boots, 1 Ballon d'Or, and 1 UCL. And to kick off season number 9, R9 has a conversation with Endrick. He says, Endrick, as you know, there's a World Cup this season, but I think you're ready to move on with your career without a mentor, so I'm glad I was able to help you and make me proud. Endrick says, thank you for everything. I will eventually win the World Cup with Brazil. I will be leaving Bayern Munich this season. And yes, Endrick has handed in his transfer request because he still needs to win 2 Champions Leagues at 2 other clubs. And only one offer came in for Sir Bobby Charlton, and it is from Man City, as Endrick is going to the Premier League. I wonder how he's gonna fare in Manchester. And Endrick has now arrived at Man City, and he's reuniting with his former teammate, Jamal Musiala. And I cannot lie, this team could definitely win the Champions League in the next 2 seasons. So I bring Endrick into my office. Congrats on your first Ballon d'Or and UCL. You had the World Cup at the end of the year. I just know that Real Madrid move is coming very soon. Endrick says, yes, I'm so excited. I've had a lovely career so far. I plan to win the UCL with City and end up my career at Madrid. Of course, Endrick is already the best player in the world at this point, but it can't hurt to give him the target forward again. And in his first season, he has won the Premier League by 1 point over Chelsea, and he also has won the Community Shield, but does not win the FA Cup and fails to win the Carabao. And in the Champions League, they finished in 2nd place, only behind an undefeated Leverkusen. And in the round of 16, they spanked his dream club in Real Madrid. In the quarters, they beat Newcastle. In the semis, they beat Sporting, and they're in the final against his former team, Bayern Munich. And it seems like they don't miss him as much as in the UCL alone. These are the top goal scorers. The goals have been spread out. Can he go ahead and win his 2nd UCL, which could lead to his 2nd Ballon d'Or? And it's a 3-1 loss as Endrick scores in the final, but still doesn't win it. But regardless, he still has a great season with 26 goals and 7 assists, going up a +1 to a 94 overall, but sadly fails to win his first golden boot here in the Prem. But it is now time for the World Cup, as this is Brazil's group, and surely this Brazilian side will not finish bottom of their group once again. And this time in the group, they still somehow finished in 3rd, but in the round of 32, they did beat Belgium. In the round of 16, they beat the USA. In the quarterfinals, they beat Wales, but in the semis, they lost to Germany as they win the entire thing. And of course, Endrick just misses out on the Ballon d'Or to Mikel Olise, his former teammate. But it is now season number 10. Endrick is at a 94 overall, 25 years old, has one last chance at the World Cup in 4 years' time. And I think this season we just need to go for the false 9 row, as he needs to win the Champions League with Man City before he goes on to hopefully Real Madrid. Once again, Cesc Fabregas, Inter manager, has come into my office and says, brilliant first season at City and now a Ballon d'Or winner. Really think about considering Endrick to finish his career over here at Inter Milan. Promise you he can become the best Serie A player of all time. Cesc Fabregas, I've told you many times, I'll tell you again, as much as this is a good offer for him, he's gonna go to Real Madrid. You must accept that. Yet again, it's another Premier League win for Endrick. He also wins the Community Shield, but fails to win his first FA Cup, but wins his first Carabao Cup. But in the Champions League, it went worse than before, finishing in 7th. However, in the round of 16, they beat Chelsea 5-4, and in the quarterfinals, they smashed Dortmund 3-2, and in the semis, they beat Atletico in the final. Again, he'll be facing Bayern Munich. And it seems like Zaragoza, Breakout, and Olise are really carrying this Bayern side in the Champions League. But can Endrick beat his former team this time around? And it's going to be a 4-2 win in penalties, as Endrick does not miss a penalty, winning his 2nd Champions League. And it's another superb season for Endrick, 31 goals and 12 assists. However, his teammate Musiala has outperformed them and is at a 98 overall. Is Endrick gonna win the Ballon d'Or, man? But the good news is he wins his first Premier League golden boot and his 3rd in his career. That's brilliant. And yes, he has beaten his teammate Musiala to his 2nd Ballon d'Or. One more left to go. And to kick off season number 11, Endrick comes into my office and says, my job here is done at City. It's time to transfer list me, and it's time to go to Real Madrid. So I burst into Arteta's office and say, look, it's been a long time since we talked, but Endrick has 2 Ballon d'Ors and 2 Champions Leagues. You must sign him for your club. Arteta says, of course I want to sign him to the club. There's only one problem. If he signs for this team, he's gonna have to sit on the bench because Gonzalo Garcia is our greatest ever Youth Academy product and our captain. No chance we bench him now. What in the world is wrong with Arteta? I know Garcia is good, but he's no way better than Endrick. Let's go ahead and have a look at how good Gonzalo Garcia is. There's no way he's past an 85. He's a 90 overall in his peak. Arteta's being for real. If Endrick joins Real Madrid, he is guaranteed to sit on the bench. What is Endrick gonna do, man? And wow. Endrick has gone ahead and decided to join Inter Milan. And I think it's because he doesn't want to sit on the bench. He has given up one of his dreams to play for Real, to hopefully one day achieve the dream of winning the World Cup and becoming the Brazilian GOAT. So Endrick has now arrived at Inter Milan, and I can't lie, this team is not terrible. Cesc Fabregas welcomes me to his office and says, we've been overachieving for years here at Inter, and we finally brought in our first superstar in Endrick. I know the team isn't at its best, but just be patient. We'll be bringing in a superstar every season until we're Champions League winners. Just focus on Endrick settling in this season. And you know what, Cesc Fabregas is right. This team is missing some power, but for right now, I just want Endrick to have a good first season. We're gonna go for the poacher development plan. And 35 goals and 10 assists is a brilliant first season here in the Serie A for Endrick. Now at a 96 overall. And to be honest, it wasn't much of a carry job that I thought it would be. And yes, Endrick has won his first Serie A already in his first year, but sadly did not win the Super Cup and just fails in the Copa Italia final, man. That could have been a domestic double. But in the Champions League, they still need a lot of work. They finished in 15th, but in the playoffs, they won on penalties against Copenhagen. In the round of 16, they beat Sociedad. In the quarters, they beat Frankfurt. But in the semis, they lost to PSG. Endrick does need help desperately. But yes, Endrick wins another Golden Boot. I believe that's his fourth. Only one left to go to complete his challenge. But it's time for another Copa America, and this is important because his last World Cup is in 2 years' time. And Endrick is now the captain of the Brazilian national team. They should easily go back-to-back here. And in the group stages, Brazil did finish in first place, tying with 2 other teams. But in the quarters, they destroyed USA 4-1. In the semis, they destroyed Argentina. And they won the entire thing, winning his second Copa America. He's ready for his final World Cup. And of course, Endrick doesn't win the Ballon d'Or as it's La Roche. If y'all remember, he was a teammate of Endrick's back at City. And to kick off season number 12, Cesc Fabregas has brought in Endrick's Brazilian teammate and Estevao. At an 89 overall, surely they will be competing for the Champions League this season again. And now with Estevao in the team, surely we could potentially win the Champions League this year. If not, Fabregas said he'd bring in another superstar next year. And now at a 96, it seems like Endrick won't grow as much anymore. So we're just gonna give him the target forward. See if we can get him to 99 maybe. And yes, it's another Serie A title for Inter Milan with 80 points. But they just miss out on the Super Cup, man. And yes, this time they do win the Coppa Italia in the Milan derby. And this time in the Champions League, they finish in first place with only 1 loss. But in the round of 16, they got destroyed by Dortmund. How did this happen, man? But regardless, it's another great season. 36 goals, 12 assists. Now at a 97 overall, man. And Endrick has done it. His 5th and final Golden Boot has been achieved. World Cup, Ballon d'Or, and UCL left to go. And sadly, Olise wins the Ballon d'Or this year. And to kick off season 13, Cesc Fabregas has brought in an 89 overall Nico Pass from Como. Somehow you're still there. And boys, just take a look at the side. There is no chance they don't win the Champions League this year. But for one last time, it's time to give Endrick a development plan. Just take a look at how good he is now. With a target forward role, let's see if he can get to a 99. However, this season, Inter Milan just missed out on the Serie A. That doesn't give me confidence for the Champions League. But yes, Endrick has finally won the Super Cup against AC Milan, and once again wins the Coppa Italia. And they were actually in the Club World Cup where Inter finished first, but lost to Al Nassr in the round of 16. And in the Champions League, he did finish in 3rd place. Not too bad. In the round of 16, they beat Leverkusen 4-3. In the quarters, they beat Arsenal 3-1. And in the semis, they beat City's former club, as he'll be facing PSG in his last ever UCL final. And what a way to end his career. 33 goals, 10 assists. Sadly did not make it to that 99. But the question is, can he win his final Champions League against PSG? And it's a 2-0 loss, as Barbary and Bob deny him his 3rd Champions League. But at least there's still a World Cup left to play for. And this will be Brazil's final World Cup group. And this is the final Brazilian squad, as Endrick will be leading the line again. And yes, in the group stages, they've gone absolutely perfect. In the round of 32, they beat Uruguay. In the round of 16, they beat Senegal 3-1. In the quarters, they get past Sweden. And in the semis, they get past Poland, as it's going to be a Spain versus Brazil final. And Endrick has been absolutely incredible. 9 goals and 7 apps. But Gavi and Gonzalo have 7 each. This won't be easy, man. But it's now time. Endrick's final dream of winning the World Cup with Brazil. Can he do it? And now it's Andres Santos on the ball. Finds the ball into Pimentel, who finds Alcantara. And here comes Brazil. Cuts inside. Gives it to Endrick. Lays it off into Pimentel. 1v1 with a shot. And it goes in. 10 minutes into the game, Brazil take the lead. And now here comes Brazil on the ball in the second half. It's Esteban looking to cut inside. Looking for that through ball. Can he find Endrick? Yes, he does. Sir Bobby Charlton. 1v1. And it goes in. Spain have no answer. That has to be the World Cup win. And yes, Endrick has done it. A 2-0 victory as he lifts the World Cup with Brazil. And he wins his final Ballon d'Or. And if you guys enjoyed this video, click on the screen and watch me race to the Ballon d'Or versus HRS.